Welcome back to another Hot Takes video, and the first one says that Logan Paul should beat Gunther for the title. As we know, the WWE is clearly hinting that these two will have a match in the near future, maybe even on the first Raw on Netflix. And at first I was like, no, this should definitely not happen, but it could be a good way to have Logan Paul then drop the belt to someone like CM Punk before WrestleMania, because as we know, WWE is interested in putting CM Punk in a main event match for a world championship, and I don't think WWE wants a clean loss for Gunther, so I could see Logan Paul cheating to win and then eventually dropping the belt to someone else before Gunther wins it back sometime in the future. So this is not a terrible idea, and it would be pretty interesting to get a lot of people talking about Raw, especially on Netflix, if Logan Paul were to dethrone Gunther. That would be very interesting. It's not a terrible idea. And the next hot take is from Twitter, and they say that Rhea Ripley is not a good wrestler. There's a decent chunk of people who don't think Rhea is good, and I just don't understand why they say that. Are they doing repetitive things? Yes, I will say that they are. Yeah, Triple H kind of does the same thing with Liv Morgan, but that does not mean that Rhea is bad. That means her booking is boring, and I think Triple H needs to completely revamp the women's division, because Triple H isn't doing a great job on Raw or SmackDown, while I think Shawn Michaels is doing a much better job in NXT. The next hot take also comes from Twitter, and it says the worst decision Tony Khan and AEW ever made was hiring CM Punk, and I disagree. The worst decision was not punishing Hangman Adam Page and the Elite for doing what they did on that one episode of Dynamite, where Hangman basically went into business for himself and completely tried to ruin CM Punk's career in AEW. I think that was a big mistake. They should have been punished for what they did, which was leaking all that information that wasn't even true, as well as, like I said, going into business for themselves and costing AEW almost millions of dollars on that taping. Pointiat says that Solo should win the Tribal Chief War. Roman had his fair share of time in the spotlight. I think Roman has plenty of more time in the spotlight, and he could very well go over, and I have no problem with it. But I don't think he's going to win it. I think Solo will win, but that's because somebody else will screw Roman out of this match. Maybe, I think it could be Drew McIntyre, and that will lead to a feud between Roman and Drew. Maybe even The Rock screw Roman, and then we could finally get Roman versus Rock at WrestleMania. The next hot take comes from Rikishi, and he says that he sees Solo Sikoa as the WWE Champion in 2025. Look, I just said that I could see Solo beating Roman, but winning the WWE Championship, absolutely not. We have CM Punk, Cody Rhodes, The Rock, Drew McIntyre, Seth Rollins, Roman Reigns, Gunther. There's just too many names. Even John Cena. Look, Solo is far behind that list of potential people who should be the WWE Champion next year. So sorry, Rikishi, but it's not happening. So please calm down with your crazy book. And if anything, I want Jey Uso to become a WWE champion before Solo. Speaking of Roman being a world champion, MKid says that Roman should not win another world championship, and I don't know why people are saying this. I think Roman definitely needs to win another championship sometime soon. He was one of the best world champions we've had, and he's not really a part-timer anymore, so give him that belt, make him the champion. I have absolutely no problem, even if he shows up 2 times a month. I think WWE should do it, and he has at least 2 or 3 more reigns in him. Just Be Good says that Cody versus Rock is bigger than Roman versus Rock. Look, I love Cody versus Rock. I think that's a great feud this year. It was amazing stuff and really helped the WrestleMania 40 build up, but there's nothing bigger than Roman and Rock. Cousins going head to head, 2 of the biggest names in professional wrestling history. I'm sorry, but Roman is just bigger than Cody, and that's the match that everyone wants to see more. I could see Cody versus Rock this year in 2025, but in 2026, it's the bigger match. Roman versus Rock needs to happen. The Venom says that Seth Rollins is the most underrated wrestler in the world of this generation, and absolutely not. Seth Rollins has had multiple world championship runs, the Universal Championship, the World's Heavyweight Championship, mid-card title runs, tag team championship runs. Seth Rollins is definitely properly rated. He's not underrated, and he's not overrated. He's perfectly rated. Could he be a little bit more of a superstar at the top like Roman and Cody? Maybe, but he's up there at the top 5, exactly where he should be. Noisy Boy says that Dom betraying Liv Morgan for Tiffany Stratton would actually be a good idea, and I 1000% agree. I think the Liv Morgan stuff is gonna get boring, and I'd love to see Dom just getting with another woman after another woman after another woman. It would be so funny if he's just everybody's boy toy. So hopefully this happens, and honestly, my dream is him winning the Money in the Bank briefcase, becoming the world champion, while Tiffany cashes in her briefcase, and both of them just walking around with the world championships, because I think Tiffany has a lot of potential potential as well. Matt says that AJ Styles is on the Mount Rushmore of in-ring workers, along with Kurt Angle, Shawn Michaels, and Eddie Guerrero. Those three names, Kurt Angle, Shawn, and Eddie, are great, and AJ Styles could make the argument for being in the Mount Rushmore, but we forgot about Bret Hart. I put Bret Hart in there over AJ Styles. I think AJ Styles is definitely number 5, but he does not surpass Bret Hart. I think Bret Hart's the greatest in-ring wrestler of all time, at least for me. David says that Brock Lesnar beating Kofi in 6 seconds was not bad at all. Kofi's reign was lackluster at this time, and I kind of have to agree that the title run was a bit lackluster, and Brock Lesnar beating Kofi was not a problem. I think it was a great shocking moment. The problem was Kofi never getting a rematch and actually putting on a good fight. If they had done that, I think nobody would have a problem with Kofi losing in 6 seconds, but the fact that that did not happen was the main problem with that storyline. Dom says that JBL is the greatest heel of all time, and it ain't even close. That man had "I want you to no longer live" type heat. That man had "if I was president, I'd make Trump look like a sissy" energy while running a similar campaign. This is a very good hot take. JBL was wild. He was kicking out immigrants out of America at the Mexican border. Like, the man was absolute straight savage. He gave Eddie Guerrero's grandma a heart attack. The man was a lunatic, and that's why he is one of the greatest heels. He might be the greatest heel of all time. This is a good argument to make, so I like this hot take. Jacob says that WWE did John Morrison so dirty, and I agree. John Morrison could have been a world champion if they really wanted to. If not that, I think he could have been a great mid-card champion. He could still be in WWE now. I don't know why they don't want him, so they did do him dirty. I think Vince did a pretty bad job, and hopefully Triple H will bring him back and actually book him to win some matches or something, because I think John Morrison is still a great talent. JD Block says that Randy Orton should be the one to beat Ric Flair's record. He never left the WWE for Hollywood, and he was there for the great and bad moments of the company. I think this is what should happen. John Cena should be the first one to beat Ric Flair, and then it should be Randy beating John Cena's record after John Cena just broke Ric Flair's record. That would be a pretty cool storyline, so I want to see that happen. Sledgehammer Sports says that CM Punk versus Drew inside Hell in a Cell is a match of the year and the best ever Hell in a Cell match. I somewhat agree with this hot take. I think it's definitely the match of the year. 2024, this was the best match, but it's not the best Hell in a Cell ever. I think Shawn Michaels versus Undertaker in the first ever Hell in a Cell is the best, and then after that you have Mankind being thrown off the cell. That was iconic, and then this does deserve the number 3 spot. CM Punk vs. Drew is the 3rd best Hell in a Cell. Speaking of Drew, Amir says that Drew McIntyre is next in line to be the greatest heel of all time if booked properly, and there's a very strong chance that this could happen. The WWE has been killing it with this heel turn in the last year, and I think if he's heel for 2 or 3 more years, Drew McIntyre could indeed be one of the greatest heels. Active Freak says that Ambrose / Moxley leaving was the best thing to happen to Seth and Roman. I really don't think this is the case at all, because if we look back, both Seth and Roman were already world champions. They were already in the main event scene. If anything, Ambrose staying would have done nothing to their career. I think Ambrose left because his career was seriously just not living up to the potential that he saw it could. So I think he's doing a great job in AEW, and he's loving it there, and Seth and Roman are loving it here. I think him leaving did absolutely nothing with Seth and Roman. Speaking of Dean Ambrose, this says that Dean Ambrose will pull a CM Punk and return in a few years. I don't think this is the case. The difference between Ambrose and Punk is that Punk had so much beef with everybody backstage. If he did not have beef, I think Punk was never going to come back, and that's where Ambrose is. I think he's going to be one of the main guys in the company who's running it with Tony Khan behind the scenes when he does retire from the ring. The next hot take says that Dominic Mysterio is Intercontinental or United States Championship material. He's proved himself enough and deserves a big push. To me, yes, I think he's been United States Championship material for a very long time. I think he's at the point now where he could be the world champion, and I have no problem with that at all. Like I said earlier in the video, I actually want him to win the Money in the Bank briefcase next year, and that would be great to see. Beast Boy says that Brock versus Roman one last time. No, please no, never again. I do not want to see Brock and Roman wrestle one more time. If Brock does come back ever, which I don't know if that's ever happening, it should be in matches with like Gunther and Braun Breaker. We need to see new matchups, please. Goku says that Chad Gable deserves a world title run. I think before we get to the world championships, we need him to win a IC or United States Championship, because Chad Gable had a lot of momentum just a year ago, but now he's really fell off the ladder. So before he gets to the world title, let's talk about the mid-card championship belts for him. Being Rational says that WWE made a huge mistake by firing Samo Joe and not giving him a world title run, and that is 1000% correct. I actually think he was going to be the world champion, but the only problem was his health. He kept getting injured, and somebody getting injured so frequently cannot be the champion. So, I think that Vince would have given him that run. It's just that his health was the problem. Blazingville says that WWE Raw on Netflix will not be as big as people intend it to be, calling it as big as WrestleMania, and I completely disagree with this. I think the first Raw on Netflix is going to be big time. It does feel like a WrestleMania show. I think a ton of people are going to watch, and I think it's going to be one of the biggest shows ever. We have 3 big time matches, and then we'll also have The Rock coming back as well as John Cena. It's going to be big. It's going to be WrestleMania big. L. Daly says that not every long title reign needs to end at WrestleMania, aka Roman, Gunther, Uso. It leaves less unpredictability, and that's not as fun. And I agree, this is a pretty good hot take. You don't need to have the championship until WrestleMania. You could end it on a Raw or even a random pay-per-view. I have no problem. Even live events, that would shock many people. The next hot take says that turning Cody heel isn't a good choice for business. I absolutely disagree. I think a Cody Rhodes heel run is going to be one of the best things for business, and I hope that it happens sooner than later. Everyday Normal Guy says that Kevin Owens can't be the face of the WWE. He's not that guy, and I can see where you're coming from. I think Kevin Owens is a much better heel of WWE. I don't think he's the face, the baby face like the Cody Rhodes or the John Cena, but he can definitely be the top heel in WWE. Just look at him right now. He's doing some great work. I think he's one of the best. I think he's up there with Drew McIntyre. It's literally Kevin Owens and Drew. And the last hot take says that if executed correctly, Ludwick Kaiser could be a major heel in the long run, potentially the same caliber as Bloodline Roman Reigns. I don't know if this is a troll or if you're just a super diehard Ludwick Kaiser fan, but this is when the video needs to end. This is not true at all. I think he could have a decent run and maybe even a world championship run, but he's not going to be the next Bloodline Roman. Anyways, that is it for the video, guys. Thank you so much for watching. I hope y'all enjoyed. If you did, please make sure to leave a like and subscribe for more, and I'll see you all in the next video.